Hello, my name is Shawn Mosch, and I love to teach people how to use their Cricut at my website, shawnmosh.com. I strongly believe that once you learn to use the different functions in Cricut Design Space, you can create anything you want. And that is exactly what I plan to do with today's project. So let's get started. We are going to make this adorable flower pot gift card holder. Because I wanted this project to be quick and easy for you, I even turned the whole design into an SVG file. So you're going to head over to my site, and right here is where you can download the SVG file. Just click here. After you download your SVG file, we're going to go to our downloads folder on our computer. And I can see right here is the SVG zipped folder. I can tell it's a zip folder because it's got the little zipper icon, and it also says zipped in parentheses there. So to get the SVG, we need to get inside that folder. Every device is slightly different, so please Google how to unzip on whatever device you're using, like a Mac or an iPad or your iPhone. For my computer, I can just right click and I get an extract all. This then pops up. I'm just going to hit extract and it put it right there in my downloads folder. So now this folder doesn't have the zipper on it, so I can double click on it to get inside. This is the SVG file you're going to want to upload. These are just pictures to show you what the gift card is going to look like once it's completed. To upload the SVG for this project, we're going to start by clicking on the upload button, and then you go to upload image. Then I like to just browse to where I have that saved. Then you locate the SVG file, double click on it. You can see that this defaults straight to a cut image, and it comes in fully colored and layered. That's because it's a true SVG file and not just an image that you're uploading. You can change the name of it or add some tags. So if you're searching later on for all of your different gift card holder projects, tags would help with that. I'm going to click upload. And there it is in my recently uploaded view. I can click on that and we know it's selected because it has the green outline. And then I'm going to click the add to canvas. This brings the whole design in, and it does bring it in grouped. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is ungroup that. Before we start cutting anything, I'm just going to walk you through some of what these pieces are. These three pieces here are going to stack on top of each other, and this is going to kind of guide and hold the gift card holder piece in place. This is the backside of the flower pot so that you can have it closed up in a nice contained shape. I did do a black offset that I'm going to put behind everything. This piece is what the gift card will go onto and slide down into the pot. And that's why I have this brown piece here to represent the soil in the pot. So when this slides down, that's going to stop right when it gets in the pot. This, of course, is the main flower pot. Now, with all of these pieces, you could cut them out of cardstock and painstakingly place each and every little piece. But I'm going to show you a little trick I like to do. I like to cut things like this out of scraps of iron-on vinyl. And I do that because then all those little itty bitty pieces are going to stay in place because they'll still be stuck to your carrier sheet when you transfer them from your cutting mat over to lay on top of this piece right here. And then you're just going to press them like you would pressing iron-on vinyl onto a shirt or a tote bag. I'm actually going to be using my mini press so that you can see the magic happen. And you don't need to press very long. One little tip that I want to point out is because I'm going to cut this from iron-on vinyl, I'm going to need to mirror it. I forget to mirror a lot. So what I can do is right here when I'm in this screen, I can go up to flip and say flip horizontal. Now everything's kind of pre-mirrored. So if you're going to cut it out of cardstock, you would leave it the other way. But if you're going to cut it out of the iron-on vinyl like I'm going to do, either flip this entire grouping first or remember to hit your mirror. So now I can click Make It. And you can see because this was an SVG that I created with layers, every color already separated into its own layer so that I can cut each color separately. These last few mats will be the ones that if I hadn't already done the flip in Design Space, I would have to click that mirror button right down here. I want to show you one other trick because I think I can get all of these brown pieces on one sheet. So I am going to just move some things around. And you can do that just by clicking on things. I can actually rotate things. So now I could take this piece and slide it down so that it cuts, this part cuts in the opening of that part. So now I can go to this mat, click the dot, 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 and say move object. I'm going to move it to this mat. And you can see it right there. I'll just slide it over here. So you can see you can rearrange things so that you can get better placement and then use more of your cutting mat, and then you're not wasting as much product. Even though there still looks like there's a mat for it, it will just skip that one because there's nothing to cut. All right, so I'm going to go back to first mat, and then I can click continue. Once Design Space has connected to my machine through Bluetooth, it's showing me that currently I have it set on Cardstock Plus, which is when you have the dial on your machine, it's the notch one above cardstock. I use this sometimes when I'm using a little bit thicker of cardstock, or if I feel like my blade might be starting to get dull, I can sometimes get a few extra cuts. So now it's time to go load the material on the mat and start cutting. First, I'm going to place the black cardstock onto my cutting mat, and then I'm going to load it into my Cricut. Every time you are loading your paper, make sure that the mat gets under the two guides on the sides because you want to make sure it gets all the way in there. Otherwise, your cuts are going to be kind of off of the mat. Also, when I load my mat, I tend to hold on to the back end of it while I press the blinking double arrow button. I feel like that helps kind of secure things while it's pulling the mat into the Cricut machine. And then after it's fully loaded, you'll notice that C button blinks, and that's what you press for it to actually start cutting. Once it's done cutting, that double arrow is going to blink again, and that's your cue to unload it. I also like to flip my mat upside down and peel my pieces off. I feel like this helps to keep pieces from curling up. And then your last step is just to use that scraper and remove all the little bits and scraps pieces. Now you can load your next color onto the mat. And if you don't know which color to load next, just look at your Design Space screen. It's going to show you which color mat it wants you to load next. And then you just continue on cutting. Now I'm on to the pieces for the vinyl. And you can see I place my vinyl so that the shiny carrier side is down on the mat. And because these cuts are very small, I actually placed my yellow in the upper left-hand corner and my green in the lower right-hand corner. Because now, after it cuts the yellow pieces, I can just unload this mat and turn it around and load it in for the green vinyl. If you're ever worried when you're working with scraps, if your piece is going to fit the whole cut, you can just take one of the cardstock pieces we already cut and lay it over the scrap of vinyl to make sure you have enough. Sometimes you might have to rotate the orientation of how you place that vinyl on there to get things to fit. Now that everything is cut, let's assemble the pieces. I'm going to be using a combination of a tape runner and a glue pen. I like to do this because the double-sided tape from the tape runner holds things in place, but then the glue gets all the way out to the edges of the pieces. You can see I'm starting off by gluing together the different pieces that are going to help guide the gift card holder into the flower pot. The reason I like to do these pieces first is once I glue these together, I can set them aside, and that really lets that glue have time to firm up so that this is one solid piece. Next, I'm going to attach the brown pieces for the flower pot onto the black outline. And again, using a combination of the double-sided tape and the glue pen, and placing each piece one by one so that I can really see where they line up and have that little outline right around the edge. Now I'm going to weed all my iron-on vinyl. I like to start in a corner and just kind of poke my little weeding tool with the little hook into the corner, and then that helps me get the separation so I have a big piece I can just pull and weed away. Once you get all of the big outside pieces done, don't forget to go back and grab those little inside pieces. See, when you hook that corner, you can really pull and separate that nice and quick. I like to use Caesar Easy Weed for all of my iron-on vinyl. If you're ever looking for the best deal on your vinyl, make sure you go to my site, shawnmosch.com, and search the word vinyl. I have a vinyl buyer's guide that has some economical shopping tips and coupon codes for some of your favorite online retailers. Now you can see while I am weeding this, I'm exposing that clear carrier sheet. That carrier sheet has a little bit of stickiness, and that will help when we place it to kind of hold it in place until we get the vinyl ironed on. Now I can start to press all of the vinyl pieces onto the black piece of cardstock. I'm putting parchment paper over the top and then using my mini press. I'm just going to hold this down. I am working on a surface. This is actually a pressing pillow. I'm doing that so that I'm not pressing right on my work surface because I don't want to ruin that. I have my mini press set at 2, which is like the medium temperature. And then I'm just pressing the different areas. And once I'm done pressing, remove the parchment paper and wait just a second because that carrier sheet is going to be very warm. And then you'll peel that back. If you find there are any areas that did not fully stick down, just cover it back up and press it again. And then once you do one layer, you will move on and line up the next color or layer on top. Let things cool down before you put your next layer on. I kind of am waving this around to help cool it down. So again, I just continue on with each color. I'm really just holding the press for like 5 to 8 seconds in each spot. I'm not quite sure how I did this, but somewhere I lost a pink flower. So I am just going to go back and cut that one single flower and press that on. Let's assemble our pieces. I'm going to put the guide piece onto the back of the flower pot. And I really suggest looking at the edges to see which way this goes. I almost glued mine on backwards the first time. So make sure you have those edges lined up. And then the next step we're going to do is take the brown piece and take the flower bouquet and attach that. Just make sure that the leaves and the flowers right at the bottom are not fully attached. You really just want to adhere the top portion of these flowers to the brown piece. You'll see why when we go to slide this whole thing into the card holder. Now let's take the back piece of the flower pot and oops, look there. You can see a little glue. Um, so I'm just going to use my weeding tool and kind of peel back and then use my spatula and move the adhesive back so that it's not showing through the opening. And then I noticed a little glue on the other side too that I was able to wipe away. Line up the back of the flower pot, and then you just want to put adhesive on the guide pieces because remember, we need that opening center part to stay open so that the gift card can slide into there. And now we'll take this piece and just slide it in that guide and make sure the leaves and the flower kind of pop to the outside. And you can see the brown for the dirt lands right in the flower pot. So you can put your gift card there and just slide it in. Now, if you want to take this project to the next level, try adding rolled paper flowers instead of doing the iron-on vinyl on top. I hope you enjoyed this project. I want to thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you over at my site, ShawnMosch.com. If you're looking for personal Cricut assistance, check out my classes section. Thanks.